backstage, so let's do this. On the count of 3, let's make some noise, give them a big round of applause to let them know how excited we are to hear their voices this afternoon. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That was awesome. My name is Jenny McGowan. I'm thankful to serve as the Deputy Superintendent in Klein ISD, and I'm also, my husband Brian and I are the proud parents of 2 Klein ISD students. And I'll tell you, I get up every morning so grateful as both an educator and a parent to be part of a district that has a shared vision that every student enters with a promise and exits with a purpose. Because I know this, for all of you parents and families here this afternoon, and thank you for making the time to be here to support our kids, I know this, the first time we all held our child in our arms, we had no doubt that he or she had purpose. And we had no doubt that there was tremendous promise for that child. And how blessed are we to be partners with an organization that is all about making sure that that promise becomes a mighty purpose that can be used for so many good things in our world. So there are lots of folks in our Klein family who are part of making that purpose a reality for our students, and I want to thank a few of them right now. First of all, we have an amazing school board in Klein ISD. These are locally elected officials who are volunteers. They don't get paid a penny for what they do, but they are so student-focused, and so I'm so glad that today we have Board Secretary Mr. Doug James here with us. Doug, can you stand and let us thank you? We also have a working team of educators from across the district, teachers, counselors, librarians, specialists, who went above and beyond what they already do for kids every single day to help our students put on this Klein Talk. And so I'm just going to quickly shout out their names, and then we can give them a big collective round of applause. Lindsay Yancey, Christine Brown, Kat Burcham, Carrie Coleman, Grace Erkman, Teresa Hurtado, Brittany James, Jessica Jasper, Carrie Lawala, Megan Solomon, Christy Stanton, and Carissa Talk. Let's thank them for their service to our students. We also have some folks at Klein Cain High School who are always so generous in opening up their doors for these kinds of events. So I want to thank Principal Nicole Patan, as well as Jacob Elbert and Matthew Robinson. They have really been instrumental in helping to mentor and support our students as they come to share their voices today. So let's give Klein Cain a big round of applause as well. So Klein Talks is a completely student-led and run event. It's designed to both elevate and celebrate our students' voices. And so today, our cosmetology students in our career and technical program, we're doing all of our students' hair and makeup. We have our Klein Cain Live students actually running the live stream right now. So if you're joining us on kleinisd.net, hello, and we're glad that you're with us virtually. We're also so thankful to our Klein Cain theater students who are running the lights, the sound, the slides for our speakers. And then, of course, we have 12 student speakers this afternoon who were selected from over hundreds of students that wanted to share their voice, and they are the real stars of this show. So, without further ado, our student MCs today are 2 incredible young ladies who are known not just for their beauty, but also their brains, the KF Queens. Please help me welcome Asia and Amber Mason.
In our community as well as on campus. We're grateful that the students today have the same opportunity as we do. So with that being said, we would like to introduce the students of Schultz Elementary, Team Maja. Let's give it up.
Madison Fowler.
Hi, my name is Jackson Heflin.
Hi, my name is Henry Perrier.
Hi, my name is Ashlyn Bramer.
Hi, my name is Michaela Bremer.
And we are Team Maja. And we are Team Maja. And we're going to talk about teamwork. Teamwork is a big part of your life. Use it for almost everything. And P.S., teamwork is a lot of work. We recently worked on a project for school called Klein in Space. Klein in Space is an example of something we use a lot of teamwork in. If you don't know what teamwork is, the dictionary describes it as when people cooperate using individual skills and feedback. When we worked on Klein in Space, the team was made up of 5 people who each had different talents, strengths, and abilities. We used the individual skills to come up with the best plan to have a thriving community on Mars. Each of us had a different assignment and different skills to contribute to our community. By working together and realizing that there is no I in team, we were able to come up with award-winning ideas. Choosing roles for the right person is a big part in making a team. While we were working on the Klein in Space project, we quickly figured out that Addison and Jackson have a lot of knowledge about space, so we called them the knowledgeable ones. They're like the brains of the operation. Henry always kept us on time, so he's like our alarm clock. He's also talented with computers. While Michaela showed a strong sense of fairness, she was also the one who made us laugh and made our project fun. And I'm the creative one, the one who helped us think outside the box. Choosing the right roles is important so that everyone can be responsible for their part of the project. Before we chose roles for each of our team members, it seems like we were all working on the same things, and honestly, it was a bit of a mess. However, once the roles were assigned, we all got our own parts and were able to finish the project in a timely manner.
In order to find each other's roles, we had to appreciate the talents in others. We all have strengths and weaknesses, like how Jackson and Addison have lots of knowledge about space. That's their strength. Michaela, Ash, and I have other strengths. Like Michaela has the talent of encouraging others to have fun in their work. Ashton has a very creative side. She came up with the innovative idea to put pictures on our box to remember our families while on Mars. My strength is being on task at all times, being the time manager, and keeping the team on track. We also have weaknesses. That's where our teammates come in. By working so closely together, we learned each other's strengths and weaknesses and jumped in to help where we saw it was needed. What one crew member lacked, another made up for.
Working out problems with friends was a big challenge in Klein in Space. We had to do that a lot. When working as a team, you should always respectfully disagree. It would probably be best to talk your problem out with your group or a teacher if you are at school. If any group member has differing ideas, it's good to talk out the problem. Sometimes you have to compromise, but also things don't go your way. That's life, right? For example, one day in the Klein in Space Challenge, we were arguing because we didn't know if we should work on one thing together or work on several different things. We got in what we call the Circle of Maja, where we talked about what the main priorities were for the project. Ultimately, we resolved our conflict by working on one thing together as a team.
The 5 characteristics that we recognize in great learners at Schultz Elementary are being a risk taker, curious, persistent, a problem solver, and collaborative. As we've already heard, Jackson has mentioned how we had to be problem solvers, and Michaela's discussed how our collaboration led to success. During our journey, we had to take lots of risks by sharing our ideas with the group. We know they might not even like our ideas. Curiosity is what made up our entire project. We were curious about the lake on Mars, so we researched information about it because we knew NASA would be interested in it too. Persistent is also a big thing that was part of our project. At first, we had no idea which direction to take our project, but then we were persistent and kept trying out different ideas. We used all of them in one client in space. We are so honored to be able to talk to you all, and we hope that you have left with some helpful tips for teamwork. Thank you.
Up we have Amanda Batchelder, who is a senior at Klein Oak High School, talking about the importance of baseball. Come on, give it up, guys. Let's go, Amanda.
So my life revolves around sports. I've played softball for 11 years now, and because there's no well-known professional softball teams, I spent more of my time learning from guys in the Major League Baseball system. From my childhood, players like Craig Biggio and the Killer Bees from the Houston Astros to Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera of the New York Yankees. They all taught me how to better my game, whether it was fundamentals with throwing, hitting, this, that, and the other, just basics of the game. I learned everything from them. Yet, as I've grown older, baseball has taught me so many other life lessons, like the feeling of grief when you lose a loved one, like Jose Fernandez in the boating accident a few years ago, to knowing that there's always consequences for your actions, with Ken Giles and how he punched himself, ultimately getting traded to Toronto. There's also the constant reminder that Coach Craig Bjornsson gave me when he said that you're never too big for the little guy, and what Chris Stavinsky provided me, with passion has no age. These 4 men and the sport they share have taught me more in the recent years than anyone or anything possibly could have. Before I started watching baseball as closely as I do now, the Miami Marlins drafted superstar Jose Fernandez in 2011. He defected from Cuba when he was 16 and lived in Tampa, Florida, graduating from Alonzo High School. He became an American citizen in 2015, and he was absolutely inspirational. You could see it. His infectious personality, his charming smile, and his love for the game. He drew his team closer every time he walked into the dugout. Then, in the 2014 season, he tore his UCL, which is like this thing right through here. So he had to have season-ending Tommy John surgery. He came back in 2015, and he wasn't going to be around at the beginning of the season when I started playing fantasy baseball, but about halfway through, he was going to come back up. My dad convinced me to pick him up after going on and on about how amazing of a pitcher he was, but I knew nothing about him. So I took a chance on him, and it was probably the best move I made that season. Every 5 days, I knew, here it comes, another win, minimum hits, minimum walks, more often than not, no earned runs, and all the strikeouts you could ask for. He did this all of 2015 and all of 2016 until he didn't. In September of 2016, the Miami Marlins pushed back one of his starts. Suddenly, instead of 5 days, I was waiting for a 6th. I was at band rehearsal one Sunday morning when all of a sudden an ESPN notification lit up my screen. Marlins ace, Jose Fernandez, found dead at 24. A shock. My mind kept telling me, don't worry, he's fine, you're just imagining things. 2 minutes passed, and my phone lights up again. Bleacher Report. Jose Fernandez, body found, boat capsized. It started to hit me. My favorite baseball player was dead, and I didn't know what to do about it. I hadn't really had to deal with death before, and I cried for the next 4 days because of this. I couldn't even fathom what it must have been like for his teammates. As a result, I saw my friends come together to help me through this and get over what felt to me was the end of the world. I saw baseball rally around the Marlins as they finished out their season, ultimately deciding to retire Fernandez's number. Through this, I was taught that baseball is a family. All 30 teams, all 23 nationalities, one big family. Yet, seeing as we are currently in Houston, it makes a little more sense for me to be an Astros fan, which I am, don't get me wrong. I love the bullpen guys from the Astros. Ken Giles was my favorite from the minute they got him from the Phillies in 2015. In December, we traded for these guys. We traded these guys for Ken Giles, hopefully to build a playoff team and have him as our closer. He pitched 100 miles an hour, coolest thing ever. That's how he ended up here. He, got traded, but he also snapped at somebody. He snapped at their manager and a fellow teammate, and they said, we're not having this, so they traded him. His first year with Houston was nothing magical, but Giles, along with Chris Davinsky, Joe Musgrove, and a few other players, would make fun of me during the 2016 season, because I'm also a Toronto Blue Jays fan. We don't know why, it just happens. It is what it is. Ken Giles became part of my favorite duo, since he would fool around in the bullpen and make me laugh, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. The Astros won the World Series in 2017, and he surely helped. His pitch arsenal, though not super fantastic, once again, 100-mile-an-hour pitch, he was lights out. Giles has this personality, this don't get in my way, don't F with me, I'm the big tough guy type of personality. I crave to be feared in the same way that he is. However, his fiery temper has caused some problems, and after a shaky first half of 2018, Giles lost both the closer position and his temper. Giving up a 3-run home run to Gary Sanchez, Giles got pulled and proceeded to punch himself on national television. Punching yourself on national television is not the smartest thing to do. A few days later, they gave him another chance, the same result, except this time when he got pulled, he cussed at A.J. Hinch, the Astros manager. A brief stint in AAA Fresno, and he booked a one-way ticket to Toronto in exchange for Roberto Osuna, which, that was a whole other set of lessons. He taught me that you need to have determination when you play baseball and when you go through life. But when something goes wrong, sometimes you just need to bite your tongue and move along. Then there's Chris Davinsky. I love Chris Davinsky. He is my favorite. He taught me that there is so much more to who you are as a person, and that though you might be passionate about one thing, everything else you do is just as much a part of your character as this one original thing is. So I'm really into baseball, but I'm also in the orchestra. I also do things with theater. I also am I'm within the church pretty frequently. Excuse me, whoa. And what a lot of people think of me is I'm just the baseball fan. Chris Davinsky is into music and art and is so much more than just an Astros baseball player. He taught me that even though I might think of myself as just this one thing or this one person, that there are so many other sides to my personality. I am not just Amanda the baseball fan. I am not just Amanda the hockey fan. I am not just Amanda this, just Amanda that. I am Amanda who likes baseball, who also likes hockey, who also likes this, who's also a part of that. He taught me so much in the 2 years that I've known him. He really does. He just means a lot to me on the fact that he has taught me these things. Lastly, Craig Bjornson. He is the bullpen coach currently with the Boston Red Sox. Prior to that, he was the bullpen coach with the Astros. And he means a lot to me and has taught me that you cannot forget about the little guy. I am the little guy. I am not a little guy, but I am the little guy. I would wear my Blue Jays jersey to the Astros games when they played the Blue Jays because I like the Blue Jays. I'm sorry. And he picked up on who I was after coming to a handful of games and standing in the same spot, always yelling the same things at the same guys. You can't miss me. I used to have blonde hair. You can't miss me. And he would always ask me about how was I doing, how's this, how's that, always trying to bridge that gap between fan and player, fan, coach, fan, and the team. He taught me that I look up to these guys so much, but there's going to be some other kid along the way that's going to look up to me the same way I look up to them, and that I can't brush them aside just like they're nothing, because they're not nothing. They're people, and they just want attention. It's okay. It happens. So he would make fun of me for this Toronto Blue Jays jersey going, what are you wearing? You're not even from Toronto. You don't even, what? And I'd come back the next day wearing this jersey, and they'd go, hey, look at you. Good job. Like, That's what you're supposed to do. And then he went to Boston after the World Series in 2017, and I was in tears because he's the reason that I would talk to Chris Stavinsky. He's the reason I would talk to Ken Giles. He's the reason that I'm up here right now. He went off to Boston and came back when they played the Astros at Minute Maid, and I went to that game, and he made sure that I got a chance to talk to him. He gave me a ball like he always does. And because if you're gonna make fun of me, you better be prepared to take it right back. So I made fun of him wearing his Boston shirt. What are you wearing? You're not even, what are you doing? He looked at me dead in the eye and said, I learned from the best. I've never felt so touched in my life. I looked up to that man so much, and I still do. And he said he learned from the best. That man taught me that there is nothing I can't do, that everything that I do, and if there's someone that looks up to me that I can't, I have to give them as much attention as he gave me. These 4 guys have taught me so much through my high school years, and I am forever grateful for it, and I am forever changed because of it. Thank you.
Good job, Amanda. That was amazing. Good job.
Yes.
Good job.
Yes. Next up, we have Angela Jones, who is a 6th grader at Shinderwolf Intermediate, and she is talking about what happens in the black hole stays in the black hole. Let's see what she's talking about. All right.
I love black holes. And I hope after talking about them to you today that you will love them too. My love for black holes came from when my dad and I were listening to a Star Talk on the radio, and it was about the constellation Cygnus. In this constellation, there's an X-ray source that was the first to be accepted as a black hole. I thought that was interesting, so I wanted to learn more. Black holes were first predicted by an English clergyman, John Mitchell, in 1784. But they really started to take off through Einstein's theory of relativity. One of the parts of the general relativity states that there are areas in space-time that are so distorted that nothing can escape, not even light. And just as a reminder, light is the fastest thing in the known universe. There are areas in space where there are areas near the black hole where once you enter it, nothing's coming out. And that spot is called the event horizon. One of the main characteristics of a black hole is the jets that comes out from either side of it. These jets spew out particles and radiation into the universe. And they can travel close to the speed of light. And they can be so big that they stretch out of the galaxy that they're in for thousands of light years. But they don't actually come from inside the black hole. As particles are falling in, some are getting whipped around to form the jets on the other side. So how do black holes form? Well, when a star dies, there are several things that can happen depending on the size. If it's a small star, about the size of our sun, it could just turn into a white dwarf. But if it's a large star, about 10 times bigger than our sun, it could turn into a black hole. The gravity of the star will fully collapse into a gravitational singularity, which is a huge mass in an infinitely small space. So these pictures up here, up until now, we had artist interpretations of what black holes looked like. But now, after 10 years of hard work, we finally have a real picture of a black hole. And it's in one of my favorite galaxies, Messier 87. Messier 87 is a galaxy with a huge black hole in it that's so big, the size alone is 5 times our solar system. So I'm sure that most people were wondering why it was just an orange ring, because I know I was confused. Well, that orange ring is actually light. So as light is traveling toward the black hole, some of it is going in past the event horizon, and some of it is getting bent around the black hole. So from our perspective, it just looks like an orange ring. In order to get this picture, there needed to be a telescope the size of our Earth, and it had to have the magnification that was equivalent to a person standing on Earth, looking at the moon with the naked eye, and seeing an orange on the surface. So what they did was take multiple powerful telescopes from around the world, sync them together, and capture each of their perspectives of the black hole. And then what they did from there is piece them together. So what would happen if a person were to fall into a black hole? Better yet, you're probably wondering, why do I have a slide with a picture of spaghetti in space? Well, falling into a black hole would be a gruesome yet spectacular death. The gravity at your feet will be much stronger, so it'll accelerate your feet faster than at your head. Why? Because your feet are closer to the black hole than your head. You will feel something called the tidal force. And it's the same thing that happens to our Earth every day, only we don't feel it because the gravity difference is so tiny that it goes unnoticeable. Your body will start to stretch and stretch and stretch until you finally snap in half. But those pieces will also snap in half, and those pieces will snap in half, and so on until you're just tiny little particles floating through space that are smaller than atoms. But you're not done yet. As you are being stretched, you're also being squeezed. As Neil deGrasse Tyson explained it, like toothpaste through a tube. Scientists came up with a word to describe this process, and that is spaghettification. I hope one day to become an astrophysicist and study why what happens in a black hole stays in a black hole. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Angela. She did amazing, 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 amazing. Thank you for teaching me something new, because I did not know about that. A black hole? Did anybody know what a black hole was? Not me. No, ma'am.
Okay, so up next we have Sydney Gautless, who goes to Bennegus Elementary. Now let me tell y'all, she's a threat. I don't think y'all ready for this. Are y'all ready? If you're not, y'all gotta get ready. Come on out, Sydney.
Okay, let's go, Sydney.
My hero, Michael Jordan, once said, "Some people want it to happen, some wish it could happen, others make it happen. I make it happen in basketball by practicing over and over again." The key word I hear all of my coaches say is repetition. I also hear my dad, who is my main coach, say it all the time. He makes it fun to learn and practice, so maybe when I'm older, I might get a scholarship to play at the best defensive team in Texas, Texas Tech. Go Raiders! I love the harder I work, the better I get. Sometimes when I am practicing, it feels like pushing against a wall of bricks. I am all about getting better at the game I call basketball. It takes 10,000 hours to be the best at something. I am probably at my 400-hour mark in basketball, but that does not stop me from practicing. As you probably noticed, I like the number 3. My whole speech is called Triple Threat. And guess what? I started my basketball career when I was just 3 years old. Back then, I could not make a shot nor dribble the ball. In addition, I am also the 3rd generation in my family that loves to play basketball. So you'll not see my grandparents shooting any granny shots anytime soon. Triple threat. What is a triple threat? A triple threat is a stance in basketball. It's where you stand like this in this position. In this position, you are ready for anything. Let me explain. You are ready to pass the ball to your awesome teammates. You are ready to take the game-winning shot, or you are ready to dribble to the open spot and shoot. Like I said, triple threat gives you 3 opportunities on the court. Personally, my favorite thing in the game is defense. I love getting down low on the floor and stealing the ball. Although Michael Jordan was known for his slam dunks and game-winning shots, he was one of the best at playing defense. That great defense often leads to offense opportunity. That inspires me to be like him, although I know I'm not going to dunk the ball when I'm older. I am also the point guard for my team. I dribble to the half-court line and then sometimes try to drive to the basket and take matters into my own hands. But if I can't do that, I look for my open teammates, give them a quick look, and pass the ball. Then I cut to the basket, and they usually pass it back for an easy layup. I go up to the person that passed it to me if I make the shot and give them a high five. But sometimes I'm the one passing it to them. They make the shot. So I go up to them and say, "Great job." I would like to talk a little bit more about my dream. And I know what you're thinking. I would like to talk a little bit more about my dream. And no, it's not that I want to become a mermaid. My dream is to be the first female NBA player. And I know what you're thinking. Isn't that what the WNBA is for? Well, I think women should get more spotlight. Women's basketball doesn't get paid the same as men's basketball. They are playing the same game. Plus, women's basketball isn't on TV as much as men's. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about my hero, Michael Jordan. I look up to him. His quotes always get me to play a little harder. I regularly play on a 123%, but my dad thinks I should not play on a 123% because it is an uneven number. I love being the role model for my little brother, William, who is now learning the game, and this summer will be his first season. When my dad, my little brother, and I play a game of basketball in our driveway and I lose, I try not to be a sore loser, so he will not do the same when he is my age. MJ also said, "Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships." I have never won a championship, but that does not stop me from being smart and passing the ball. I think if I live by Michael Jordan's quotes my whole life, I will succeed, like this quote says. I have missed over 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost over 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan. I hope this inspires you for your passion too, because nothing is impossible when you put hard work and heart into it.
Thank you, Sydney. That was beautiful. Yes, it really was. So next up, we have Vivian Nguyen, who attends Klein Forest High School and who is a senior. And today, she'll be talking about how she can bring peace to the community, as well as us. So give a round of applause for Vivian Nguyen.
About 3 months ago, I attended a peace conference right here in Houston. Over 200 students, just like myself, got together to identify conflicts in our community and create peace projects to make the world a better place. Today, I'm here to inform you of what I've learned and hopefully inspire you to create peace projects yourself. Before I begin, I'd like to ask everyone a simple question. What is peace? When asked this question, some students answered, peace is a world without violence. Other students answered, peace is where we treat each other with respect. In fact, both these answers are correct. Peace can be seen in an inner and outer layer. Inner, referring to abstract ideals that allow us to feel safe and welcome in our community. Outer refers to where there are no physical violence to ourselves. To create a peace project, you must first identify the issue. Behind me, you can see Galton's triangle of violence. This is used to identify any type of violence in our community. Towards the top, you can see direct violence. This is the most common type. It's any physical or verbal harm, including war or protest or aggressive language. Going towards the bottom right, you can see structural violence. This is any social, political, or economic harm, including disease or hunger. And then towards the bottom left, you see cultural violence. This is a combination of both structural and direct. It refers to nationalism, sexism, racism, and other types of discrimination. After using this to identify your issue, you can then find a solution. The Institute for Economics and Peace came up with the 8 pillars of peace. These are different characteristics that are ideal for a peaceful community. Today, I'd like to identify 2. First is the equitable distribution of resources. This is where every single person in a community, no matter of their gender, their race, their social position, or their religion, they're given the chance of equal opportunity of resources. So for example, in a school system, every student, no matter who they are given equal opportunity to education. The second pillar is good relations with neighbors. This is just like how it sounds, creating a peaceful relationship with one another, getting rid of any social division, not seeing differences, but rather as unity. A peace project always has 2 separate parts, the problem statement and the peace project itself. Attending the peace conference, a group of Klein Forest students and myself created a peace project for our school. We said that the problem statement is the lack of education on nonviolent conflict resolution caused students to pursue physical altercation, a direct violence. High school students and adults at a high school are unaware of how to deal with conflict effectively. This problem statement includes 2 important details. 1, it identifies the problem, that the lack of education leads to physical altercation. Secondly, it identifies the context of the problem, which are students and adults at a high school. This refers back to Galton's triangle of violence by saying that physical altercation is a type of direct violence. After this, we got together and analyzed the 8 pillars of peace to create our peace project. We said that to educate students and adults, we will host a 4-hour symposium that will promote awareness of the principles and tactics of nonviolent resolution, mental health, drug awareness, and anger management. This also has 2 important parts. It mentions the project, which is the 4-hour symposium, and the effect, which is to promote awareness. This project surrounded the 2 pillars I mentioned before. Every single person is allowed to attend this event no matter who they are. They're allowed to receive equal education on how to resolve conflicts. And secondly, they're allowed to build healthy relationships. We included interactive activities to get rid of any social division and to learn together as a community to solve this one problem. So, in conclusion, Galton's triangle of violence and the 8 pillars of peace are crucial parts to creating a peace project. By identifying different issues in your community, as well as referring to key characteristics in a peaceful community, we are able to be successful to bring peace. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that." I hope my presentation has enlightened you to create a peace project of your own and bring peace to our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vivian.
right.
You did amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Up next, we have Aisha Amira, who attends Club Intermediate, talking about, does technology make us lazy? We shall see. Come on, Aisha.
everyone. Let me start with a question. How many of us could go a week without using our phones? Well, there you go. None of us. Do you even bother to memorize phone numbers anymore? I can't even recall the last time I went a day without looking at the internet at all. Everything seems to be moving so much more quickly nowadays. Why have mom over to show off your new apartment when you can just pop into FaceTime and do a quick video chat? Why drive over to the library when we could pull up Wikipedia or do a Google search? In fact, why open the window when we could just check the weather on our phones? Okay, now imagine a world where we wake up in the morning and walk into our smart kitchens, where breakfast is served and coffee is made by friendly robots. We would then be driven to work by our smart cars while we relax and scroll Twitter for the latest news. Surprisingly, the thought of this scared me more than anything. As great as it sounded, I could think of nothing lazier. We now live in total reliance of technology, but does the fascinating digital world around us make us lazy? In the 21st century, technology has evolved to accommodate a more convenient lifestyle. With the right tech in your home, you might not ever need to leave your bed. What's the point of getting up, taking a shower, getting dressed, and driving to the movies when we could just lay on the couch and fire up Netflix? We've all been there before. To make things worse, Nintendo and Microsoft had to go ahead and release the Wii and Kinect. Thanks to these two addictive gadgets, you could go bowling, play tennis, or participate in the Olympic Games in your living room. Sometimes we even waste time by reading articles about productivity. How many times have you scrolled through deliciously craving food recipes only to find yourself never actually making it? We're in a day where people don't even know how to read paper maps. Boy Scouts are already teaching kids how to use a GPS instead of how to navigate with a compass. After the advent of the Tesla autopilot, numerous drivers were caught sleeping or texting while driving, some resulting in crashes. As a result, various authorities called for a ban on the use of the word autopilot in Tesla ads. The thing is, this technology was not meant to harm anyone. The whole point of technology is convenience. But when we use technology in a way that disrupts others, it defeats the purpose. While smartphones might be smart, I contend they make the average person lazy and unproductive. Some people do nothing but play around all day on their phones, texting people aimlessly, chatting on Facebook, playing Clash of Clans. Among the many benefits of our much-beloved smartphones are the fact that they cause people to lay on the couch and become unproductive and unintelligent, and cause some people to get so engulfed by them that their phones literally become their entire life. Forget walking, mowing the lawn, riding a bike. These activities are simply too much work for today's average American. Instead, we choose to do more productive things, such as driving to the store, which, by the way, is right across the street, calling the neighbor because walking next door is too much work, and complaining about why we're so tired, which is actually caused by the lack of physical activity. And people wonder why we Americans are so unhealthy these days. Thanks to technology, eventually we won't ever have to do so much as stand up, walk, or move a muscle to do anything. Isn't the digital world just grand? In a BBC News article, Dr. Richard and Dr. Emmanuel argue that technology has led humanity to an inactive lifestyle which poses risks to our health. The article goes on to quote the doctor saying, "Sedentary living is the most prevalent disease, biggest silent killer, and greatest health threat facing developed countries. Since we are spending more than 3 hours a day on technology, humans are living very unhealthily, which is ultimately leading to shortened lives." This review claims that in the last 50 years, up to 100,000 Americans lost their life due to inactivity, leading to some sort of condition, such as heart disease, diabetes, or colon cancer. I think a rational person would concur that as technology increases, so does the inactivity in people. Have you ever checked the screen time function on your iPhone? I took a poll, and here's the data I collected. It may surprise you. As you can see, most students spend more than 3 hours a day on their phones. That's basically 21 hours a week's part-time job. I completely agree that technology is the biggest reason why we're so lazy. I definitely feel that this is also the reason why we have such a huge problem in the obesity in the country. Technology has made everything available at our fingertips. I also feel like this change is relatively new and has started becoming a major issue in the past 10 years. Personally, I remember my parents talking about how they were so much more active when they were young. They would constantly be playing outside, riding a bike, or doing something. But whatever they were doing, they were up and moving. Now, when I compare that to myself, I realize that I live in a completely different world. At any point in the day, kids would either be sitting in front of their phones, iPads, or just watching TV. They've become so much lazier, and it's all because technology is letting them be. However, something seems missing in these arguments. Hasn't technology enabled us to do things we've never been able to do before? We would still commute by boat. Where would we be without the computer? Man would not have made it to the moon. When put to good use, technologies like Fitbits and smartwatches can encourage healthy living habits by keeping you on your feet and tracking sleep cycles. If technology is bad, how do you explain all of this? The answer is in how we use technology. How many hours do you spend hopelessly scrolling through the internet, phone, and TV? Or leveling up in Candy Crush? Or playing Fortnite? In the end, technology clearly has both good and bad uses. Of course, people will always find a way to abuse technology. When put to good use, it could have profound impacts. And when put to poor use, it could have negative effects. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you. Now, I know y'all felt that. I know y'all just like, I'm not being on my phone anymore. Let me get some fresh air, right? Like, Aisha, what are you doing? I know you just heard that speech.
Look at this light. Come on.
Okay, hold on. Okay, no, okay, stop, girl. We have a job to do. Come on. I'm sorry. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will be in admission starting now. So you have 10 minutes for admission, so enjoy, go to the restroom, get something to eat. You have 10 minutes, and yeah, see you soon. Oh, and y'all can probably get on your phone too, because, guys looking really good.
performing for a festival. Before I begin, I would like to extend a gracious thank you to the Klein Lives faculty and students for assisting me in pre-recording my KLEINTalks, as it has enabled me to speak about my passions, which is synesthesia. So what is synesthesia? Synesthesia directly translates from Greek to English to joined sensation. The formal definition is a perceptual phenomenon in which stimulation of one sensory or cognitive pathway leads to an automatic involuntary experience in a second sensory or cognitive pathway. So this condition is relatively rare, with 1 in 2,000 people having a facet or form of synesthesia. This figure is 75% female, so I'm rather a minority. And it's difficult to diagnose as the characteristics are very unique and vary between each person. No synesthete is the same. So some forms of synesthesia, lexical gustatory synesthesia. An individual with this form of synesthesia may experience tastes associated with a word. So for example, someone with lexical gustatory synesthesia, whenever hearing the word school, may taste lead. Or whenever they hear the word orange, they may taste orange. Another form is grapheme color synesthesia, where an individual may experience color with numbers or any other empirical values, such as if someone were to experience and see number 1 being red, number 2 being orange. It simply varies. And my personal form of synesthesia, chromesthesia. When I hear music, my brain elicits not only an auditory response, but a visual response. Basically, I see and hear music. I share this condition with jazz legend Duke Ellington, rapper Kanye West, and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame icon Billy Joel. But it's important to note, every single one of us, chromesthetes, our synesthesia is completely different from the other. The shapes, colors, and textures I see are completely different from the shapes, colors, and textures that Kanye West sees. So some of you may ask if this condition manifested after a traumatic brain injury or a concussion, or if my parents just dropped me down the stairs way too many times. But I have never not had synesthesia, so it's incredibly odd to think about not seeing colors when listening to music. You can imagine my surprise when I discovered that it wasn't normal to see colors with music. I was listening to Hannah Montana's You Can Get the Best of Both Worlds, and my world was absolutely rocked. Chromesthesia has provided me with an incredibly unique perspective on music. For example, I'm not much of a fan of pop music. Their similar chord progressions, lyrics, and messages are so boring to my ears that I will only listen to pop music under the condition to see it, because pop music is incredibly flowing and it's fun to watch. It's not fun to listen to, but it's very unique to see in how it is conceptualized in my brain. Some other examples of what I experience when I listen to different genres as when I listen to jazz music, I see navies and silvers. It's very relaxed, it flows, it's kind of just sitting in the back, and it's very, very relaxed. Rock music is always red, in your face, and very exciting to watch. I really enjoy listening to rock and pop music a lot. Country music is often barf green. You can interpret that whatever way you want, but there is one exception. Billy Ray Cyrus. For whatever reason, Billy Ray Cyrus's Achy Breaky Heart has always been orange and will always be orange, and I'm not sure why. The rarest color I do see is indigo. I think it's a very special color, and I think my brain associates it with certain tones and colors, yet I have yet to hear a song on the radio that invokes indigo. However, I don't think English has the proper vocabulary to effectively describe and conceptualize synesthesia. So with the help of KLEIN Live student Aiden Olch, we have attempted a recreation of my synesthesia. This is an excerpt of Victor Wooten's You Can't Hold No Groove. Thank you. In conclusion, I'd like to thank you for your time, and I want to conclude this presentation with a look to the future rather than a summary of the presentation. I plan on pursuing an education in music, specifically electric bass performance or music production, but no matter what, I will continue to make music and explore the different colors I see through my synesthesia. Thank you.
Aiden one more time. Yeah. Good job, Aiden. That was amazing. So up next, we have some beautiful young ladies that goes by the name of Bailey Barlow and Simone Thomas, who attend Frank Elementary. And they are presenting their clothing line to you guys called Ocean Vibes, that helps save marine life and also prevent air pollution. So let's give it up to these amazing, talented girls.
Hi, I'm Bailey.
And I'm Simone.
And we're with
Ocean Vibes. And we want to tell you about how we got started. One day we were working in a group for Genius Hour, and our teacher, Ms. Parks, let us pick a project.
She was describing all the projects when I heard bumper sticker. Another friend and I immediately picked that project and got started right away.
At first, I was in another group, eavesdropping on the conversation. All I could hear was them talking about bumper stickers.
We started with the fun stuff and then realized we needed to actually research about our topic.
I jumped in to help with the research part of the project.
Our inspiration for Ocean Vibes is Simply Southern, who provides help to preventing marine pollution just like us. Sadly, our friend that was in our group moved away, and now it's us too.
We thought that straws were the major problem in the ocean, but we learned that cigarette butts were the #1 thing that polluted the ocean the most. That's gross, right?
Yeah. The 9 things that pollute the ocean the most are cigarettes and filters, bags and plastic, food wrappers, caps and lids, beverage glasses, beverage cans, straws and stirrers, bags, plastic utensils. Those are things we use every day.
We realize that if we don't do something now, our oceans will become a large garbage can. Marine animals are getting sick and hurt with all of the trash going into our oceans. But we can help, and you can too, with Ocean Vibes. Ocean Vibes is our company where we sell many things such as bracelets, bumper stickers, and t-shirts.
80% of our profits go to research marine pollution and helping marine animals that have been hurt due to marine pollution. The other 20% go to making our products. Ocean Vibes' main goal is to keep our oceans safer for animals.
Our inspiration for our bracelets is from Pura Vida, who makes super cute bracelets.
Our inspiration for our shirts is from Seaside, Florida, who just like us uses comfort colors for our shirts.
We are so excited to see that our librarian put our bumper sticker up on Frank Elementary's window. We are so happy to see that people can see it and tell others about Ocean Vibes.
We would love to prevent people from throwing their trash in the ocean, but the truth is we can't do that without your help. If you guys could help us spread the word about Ocean Vibes, we could keep our oceans healthier and cleaner for everybody when they swim in them in the ocean, just like this ocean in Destin, Florida.
We want to thank our teachers, Ms. Parks and Mr. Baldwin, and our librarian and coach, Ms. Erkman. We would especially like to thank our parents for supporting us along the way. But most importantly, we would like to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bailey, you did good.
Thank you, girls. That was beautiful. And thank you for the bumper stickers. Those are awesome. We will definitely be putting those on our car once we get them. So thanks, Mom. Y'all need to, please, when y'all see our mom, this is her over here with the blue dress. When you guys leave, be like, Asian Amber needs a car immediately. We got too much going on. All right. Okay, next up we have Angelina Doe, who was talking about the importance of robotics and the future of STEM. She attends Wonderlick Middle School, and she's an 8th grader. So let's give it up for Angelina. All right.
Good evening. So before I start, just a question. What do you think of when you think of a robot? Do you think of Wall-E or R2-D2? Do you think of the Boston Dynamics robotics? My name is Angelina Doe, a current student at Wonderlick, and I'm here to talk to you today about competitive robotics and the impact that STEM can have on a community. The robotics organization that I and other teams in the district belong to is called FIRST. FIRST stands for Inspiration and Recognition for Science and Technology. Within FIRST, there are 4 levels of competitive programs, but the 2 I'll be describing today are called the FIRST Robotics Competition, or FRC, which is geared towards high schoolers, and FIRST Tech Challenge, or FTC, geared towards middle school students. In the 2 programs, new game themes are released every year. In these games, you construct a robot to perform tasks for points. As for me, I'm a member of the Lab Rats, a community FTC team. 4 out of 6 members are current Klein Middle School students. Here's a picture of some of the work we do. While you might not know about us, you'll probably know about the next 2 teams. This is Vortex, Klein ISD's FRC team. They've advanced to the World Championships 4 out of 5 times in the past 5 years. Here's what their robot looks like. This is actually them at the World Championships maybe 2 weeks ago, and I'm really proud of what they've done. The KI Falcons are Klein ISD's Klein Intermediate's FTC team. These 2 teams both work hard to bring STEM awareness into the community, but I'll talk more about that later. So you might be wondering when you see this robot, like, how does it work? And I'll explain that. So from a technical standpoint, robotics can be reduced into 2 skills, programming and engineering. Let's start with programming. Programming uses one of many languages to write 2 kinds of programs that can be organized into op modes, which is short for operational modes, and it specifies the type of behavior a robot exhibits. So one of them is teleop, and in teleop, you would control the robot sort of like an RC car using a gamepad. I would drive it for you right now, but that would also require for everyone in this room to have their phone on airplane mode since it communicates through a Wi-Fi direct. But if you ever came to one of our practices, I'd be more than happy to show you. The other op mode is autonomous, where the robot moves independently of driver input using pre-programmed instructions. All in all, programming lets you take away a ton of skills like problem solving and critical thinking. Now let's talk about engineering. The engineering aspect of robotics involves the building of the physical robot and developing new tools for the robot to use. So what makes a robot in the first place? So first you have the drivetrain, which is the base of the robot, made of connected metal channels and wheels. On top of the basic drivetrain, you can add attachments that you develop using the design process. The attachments are used to score points in-game. This season, we've developed a cup-like mechanism that latches onto game elements like a ball. So basically, it works like this. During the game, we'll have it stretch out, and these click in, and you'll have like a ball, and it'll go like this. It's held shut by the rubber band, and there's a servo over here that when you press it, it'll turn the string slowly and allow the ball to fall out. So the design process is a really important part of engineering. During this phase, there are a couple things to keep in mind, like always work towards improvement. And think simple. Sometimes less means more. A simple mechanism can work just as well as a complicated one. For example, last year, the main objective was to pick up blocks, and most people were creating like vacuums and stuff to pick it up, but all we had was like 2 pairs of arms that just clapped on and it's so simple that it works so well. Another thing to do is to take inspiration from real life. For example, like think of machines that might be similar to how your robot functions and apply it to your own design. So for example, like I said, last year our robot was kind of like a baby forklift, and this year we took inspiration from golf ball collectors to create this. Finally, run the prototype through 3D design programs like Creo or Autodesk. From there you can print the design, or if you're like our team, print 2-inch tall Shrek figures. We gave these out during our competitions, and while it was initially made as a joke, it really did create a sense of community within our league. It was a community bound by plastic Shreks, but a community no less. So not only does robotics teach you about programming and engineering, but it also teaches you skills like leadership, teamwork, design and organizational skills. I say that because every team is required to keep a sort of archive of the team's progress called an engineering notebook. And it's important to know how to maintain that. So you might ask, what exactly is FIRST's mission? And that would be Well, first I might have to say that FIRST is a great experience in that you not only learn about engineering and programming, but you also learn how to apply it in a real-world example and see it happen in front of your eyes. However, FIRST is more than just building robots. It's also about sharing the ideals of STEM. Outreach is a great way to spread this message. The lab rats have done a ton of research. For example, we've presented at the Houston Maker Faire. We've also presented at the Reach for the Stars STEM Girls Festival at Rice University, and volunteered at an all-girls building event, and hosted a programming workshop where we taught around 15 rookie teams how to program. For many people, it was their first time programming. The two teams I mentioned earlier, Klein Intermediate and Vortex, have done a lot of community service too. For example, on the left, you can see all the middle school students that Vortex has mentored by offering mechanical and programming advice throughout the year. During the first World Championship from April 17th to the 20th, they also took them to watch the games. And on the left, you can see that Klein Intermediate's also done a lot for the community. This is them presenting at STEM Gems, which is a Klein ISD event dedicated to helping girls become more involved in STEM. In addition, Klein Intermediate have also mentored other teams in the district. So you might be asking yourself, why is STEM such a big deal, and what does it represent? And that would be because STEM represents science, technology, engineering, and math. But the reason why it's so important is because the world runs on STEM. Everything from the economy to health to quality of life is built upon science, technology, engineering, and math. STEM's everywhere. You see it in the development of medicine and research, the construction of bridges, planes, and engines, and the technology that helps us to communicate. And finally, math is what ties all these things together. Because it's so impactful, it's important that everyone should be able to learn about STEM. This is why it's our mission as a team and as an organization, and also as a district, to bring STEM education to underserved communities, whether that means bringing Lego robots to community centers or mentoring other teams. The future of STEM, it doesn't always mean new technology like flying cars and exploring space. Sometimes it means the opportunity for everyone and anyone to learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. That was amazing. Man, girls rock. We got it doing all baseball, basketball, everything.
Robotics,
Come on now. Okay, so next up we have Mark Wynn talking about the history of black music, who attends Klein Oak High School, and he's a senior, so let's give him a round of applause.
Poop-dee scoop, scoop-diddy-whoop, whoop-dee-scoop-dee-poop, whoop-dee-scoop-dee, scoopity-whoop, whoop-dee-poop. Okay, so if you were completely and utterly confused right now, then you are not alone. These are the opening lyrics to Kanye West's Lift Yourself, a song dedicated to the development of all musical forms in listening and interpretation. With the combined words of whoop, scoop, and poop, Kanye West creates a song that will surely be remembered by generations to come. And through this music, we realize that there are so many musical forms that are just like this, corruptive and have no effect. For weeks, musical analysts and writers tried to figure out what the lyrics of the song meant. Maybe it was trying to uncover something that Kanye West had not yet unveiled. Or maybe it was something that he just could not think of actually writing a real song with. This music was something that was continuing to grow inside of fans. People tried to figure out and analyze the metaphorical meaning of the lyrics. And headlines began to read and question whether or not Kanye West was a real musical artist. And other headlines questioned whether if he was the reason that black music has been corruptive in our society today. But the corruption of black music does not only appeal in him, but so many other artists in today's society. As the 2000s rampaged on, and more musical artists began to develop in our society their own identities, more and more cultural outrage began to grow in our society. From hits like Old Town Road, to Big Dream Tractor, to Bodak Yellow, we see a wide array of musical experiences that many background of people actually engage with. But what these people don't know is that all music is branched from the same tree. and trying to cut down a branch of music that you don't understand should be seen as unacceptable. Every single bit of music that we cut down is another piece of culture and history that we ignore. So this one is not only for the culture of black music, but this is for the culture of all forms of musical culture that should be identified in our society today. So firstly, we will look at how forgetting the African American musical background has taken away the idols of black men and women across our nation. Secondly, we will see just how music has changed so drastically over the course of these years. And finally, you will realize that black music is something that is a necessity to us all. And by embracing it, we can further realize that our tree doesn't grow on its own. We must all come together collectively. Now, instead of creating a speech about Kanye West and his love of rhyming words with poop, I would much rather talk about the discussion that really should be discussed, the underlying problem of not actually creating music that should exist in our society. And I'll admit, I was kind of tough on the guy. After all, he created a song that has no meaning, but he's definitely not the only artist that has done so. For instance, it's not a coincidence that Post Malone decided to rhyme the word shadas with gratatata, or Doja Cat rhyming a song titled Moo, discussing her love of cows and hamburgers. These songs continue to deteriorate the actual meaning of our culture. But what you're really asking yourself is what happened to the real musical influences? What happened to the actual Jackson 5, the Aretha Franklins, the Temptations? Well, the simple question is, us and our lack of understanding the musical backgrounds of all of these people. We have neglected to engage with this culture and have created one of our own. For instance, if I went home and asked my brother to check out some songs by the Beatles, he would ask me to give him a shoe so he could squish them. Or if I asked him to go listen to some Earth, Wind, and Fire songs, he would ask if I was talking about the Avatar. This influence in our culture is something that has to be frowned upon, because we are keeping our kids away from our past, which allows them to not have as strong of a musical future as they could. A prime example is Elvis Presley and Paul Whiteman, two staples in American history for their influence and success in the musical industry. However, when we actually look back at the historical evidence, the musical forms that they were known for creating was actually created by black people. And although we must praise these men for the success of making this musical form popular, we must also realize that we have to give credit to the people who were behind the curtain, like Chuck Berry and Barry Bolden, because without their influence, our friendly neighborhood, peanut butter loving sandwich guy, rock star, would not have even existed. Now, when it comes down to the rhythmic tones of black music, we need to realize that there's always been a negative connotation under the term black music. We associate the black identity to corruptively benefactors in the rap community, such as Lil Baby, Lil Uzi, Lil Yachty, Lil Pump, and every other little in the history of littles. However, we never actually take time to realize that there are other rappers who want to take strides at success in the black community, like Childish Gambino, Chance the Rapper, and Kendrick Lamar. Because according to the National Bureau of Justice, it is when black men are aggressive that they are more socially normative in our society. But because of statistics like these, we normalize and encourage and advocate for the violent, party-loving, and explicit nature of all types of music across the board. We make it look like black musicians want to rap about these things, when in hindsight, it's the only thing that they know how to rap about. For instance, Kendrick Lamar's Humble toppled the charts in its success, but his following song, DNA, only gained 75% of the attention that his other song did, even though DNA discussed real-world issues, discussing the influences of African Americans in our society and the problems and tribulations that they face on a regular basis. Why is it that we never want to hear about what actually matters in our society? The streets of Harlem, the struggles of being a minority in today's country. But rather, We want to hear about something that is completely destructive to our children and our future. Why can't we listen to something that can actually have an impact? For example, Donald Glover's This Is America, a song that blew up because not only of its video, but its influence and knowledge of the actual black community. It addresses the situation in the black community and continues to talk about a subject that we continue to back away from. But the more we stray away from these topics, is the more we encourage people to become more violent and inactive in action and taking course for people who are being more violent in the music industry. We need more music like that. The music that makes you want to take action. Musical activism that makes you want to believe in something and also get up and dance with it. Because we don't have to fear change. We should be embracing it. Now finally, in the spirit of realizing the history of black music and focusing on what uncovering it means, we need to come together and realize that we have developed from the same tree. Although your branch isn't the same as mine, we are still made of the quintessential factors that make that tree grow. For instance, tell me if you've heard this song before. I've got sunshine in a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. Well, I guess you'd say, what can make me feel this way, my girl? I saw you singing along in the front row, and I bet a lot of you were. This is only one example of how musical differences don't have to divide us, but we can bring us together. After all, country music is derived from a mix of soul and jazz. Rap music is derived from spoken word. R&B is a mixture of the blues and pop culture. And pop music is a mixture of it all. Now, I'm not saying that you have to listen to every song on the radio, but before you categorize this song as strictly for black, whites, Native American, Asian, or any other quantifiable group, try understanding it before flipping the station. Now, I'm not advocating for you to go home and teach the preachings of Nicki Minaj and the Spice Girls. However, I am asking for change. And to the kids out there, try understanding our history before enveloping yourself in the future. Because our history has been a catalyst to us for years. Our musical history has all come together at one point or another. And the day in which our sisters, to brothers, to mothers, can embrace a musical background that is all bound by the same unique talent, and that has not even yet been written, is the day in which we can finally say that we march to the same drum. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark. He did amazing. But I know I'm not the only one who wanted to hop out of their seat and start dancing when I heard whoopity, scoopity, hey, hey. No, but honestly, as soon as I heard my girl, my girl, my girl, talking about my girl, oh, all right now. It was amazing. It was touching, and it was beautiful, and it was raw, and I honestly loved his presentation so much. Yes, can we get another round of applause for him? Yes. That was beautiful, please. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Now up next, we have a little celebrity in the house. Yes. We have Eric Martinez from Tice Elementary sharing the secrets of a television chef. And yes, let me repeat this. He was on Top Chef Junior. So please give a sincere round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Hi, I'm Eric Martinez, and I was on Top Chef Junior Season 2. For those of you who don't know, in each episode of Top Chef Junior, there are 2 challenges, a quick fire and an elimination challenge. If you serve the favorite dish in the elimination challenge, if you serve the favorite dish in the quick fire challenge, you can get an advantage in the elimination challenge. If you serve the least favorite dish in the elimination challenge, you can be sent home. It keeps on going like this until there's only one chef standing.
That chef is crowned Top Chef Junior and wins $50,000. I made it to the final 5 and then went home. I was the youngest chef ever to compete on Top Chef Junior. A show like Top Chef Junior is great because it combines cooking, competition, and reality. As far as cooking goes, you have to be able to compete at a very high level. Just like adult Top Chef, we have to be better than your average home cook. For those of us who weren't even in middle school yet, it was intense. We were on set 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then when we got home, we practiced even more. Here's a picture of me filleting a fish in our apartment. I ended up cooking it 3 different ways that night. The funny thing is, I didn't even end up cooking fish on the show. That's how unpredictable it is. I love the cooking aspect of this because you got to think up new recipes on the fly. You also got to use new crazy ingredients, and you had to incorporate the theme of the challenge into your dish. I love the cooking part of this competition, and I wish it could be my life. For the competition aspect, we spent all this time together on set, and then when we got home, we'd spend more time together discussing new recipes we had heard, swimming in the pool, on the rooftop of our apartments, and then we also went out to dinner sometimes, or we grilled on the roof. We never really got tired of each other. We knew that at one point, all of us were going to get sent home except one person, so we tried to make the most of our time together. When someone did go home, we always felt horrible because you knew you wouldn't be seeing them again. And when you went home, if you did, you're gonna cry. And then the whole world's gonna see you cry on TV. It's gonna be embarrassing. Which brings me to my next point. It's reality TV. You have to be a good chef, you have to be a strong competitor, but you also have to remember that this is entertainment. So you have to make the food appealing both to the judges and to the viewers. So you want your food to look good. What's appealing to the eye is more appealing to the palate. Another thing is you usually want to have a story behind your dish because you want your dish to come alive. Not back to life, but you want it to come alive. For example, I'm from Texas and we love the heat. So in this dish, I'm adding peppers and bold seasonings. In every challenge, there's going to be an extra dish in addition to the other dishes you have to make for the judges. You have to make an extra dish called the beauty dish. The photographer takes that dish and takes a photo of it so that the viewer can see it. Another thing, so that the viewer can see it up close and see all the details of it. It's reality, guys. Come on, it's reality. And we're kids playing with sharp knives and fire. So get real. We have to have a medic on set at all times. Because in pretty much every single challenge, someone either cut themselves or burned themselves or had some sort of crazy cooking mishap. I got quite a few burns. I have a scar right here from one of them. Another thing that happened quite often was I would set my towel on fire. We always had a towel in our apron, in our strap of our apron, and we had to use it when we're touching hot stuff, like when we're sauteing stuff in a pan. We have to hold it so that we don't burn ourselves. But of course, my towel always got a little too close to the flame and it always caught on fire. Here's a picture. Next week, Top Chef Junior is up for 2 Emmys. I'm not going to be at the award ceremony, so this has to be my acceptance speech. I'm thankful for being part of something so special. I'm thankful to God for giving me some talent. I'm thankful to the hundreds of people who worked on making it such a great competition. I'm thankful for my whole community for cheering me on, and I'm thankful for my teachers and principal at Tice for helping me to dream big.
Here's one final thought. Cooking isn't about how much background experience you have. It's about how much effort and determination you pour into it. I'm Eric Martinez. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Eric. That was amazing, right?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
So, Eric, you can make us something to eat? Okay, he said yes, we good. Okay, all right. Okay, so up next, we have Andrew Abear, and he is a senior at Klein High School, and his passion is going to be talking about how he found his purpose in his Making Connections classroom. Let's give it up for Andrew.
Hi, I want to talk a little bit about autism and how I made it through my life this way. My name is Andrew Abear, and I have autism. Autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a complex developmental disability that affects a person's ability to communicate and interact with others. ASD is defined by a certain set of behaviors and is a spectrum condition that affects individuals differently and to varying degrees. There is no known single cause of autism, but increased awareness and early diagnosis or intervention and access to appropriate services or supports lead to significantly improved outcomes. Autism is a developmental disability, in other words, that affects the way people communicate, behave, or interact with others. I was fortunate enough to be able to get involved with Making Connections. Making Connections is a program here in Klein ISD that has taught me social skills and has taught me that I am no different than any general ed student of any general ed student here at school. My teachers have helped me make friends, use better social skills, and use different coping strategies when I am having a bad day or whatever. Without Making Connections, my school career might not have ended up so great. I don't know what my life would be like today without them. Making Connections has helped mold me into a person of success and has helped Klein ISD promote their Promise to Purpose mission statement. I entered Klein ISD with a promise, and I know that in May I will exit with a great purpose. This program has not only helped autistic students at first, in my opinion, but I also feel like it has helped general ed students learn to accept me and other people that have the same thing or ADHD or whatever, to accept me whenever I am at my worst, even when I am. For example, I am at lunch and I am having a bad day. And I have learned, however, the skills to better interact with my peers for the rest of the day. Making Connections has helped become more aware of my abilities, as well as I have learned how to be an advocate for myself and others with autism and other disabilities, guys. Last summer, I had the opportunity to go to Camp LEAP at Texas A&M. I got to learn various parts of the history of disabilities. Be ready for this. and how people in the past were discriminated. A lot of people were isolated, and oh Lord, that's just sad. They were separated from average or normal people. However, the good news is making connections has helped bridge the gap of people with ASD and neurotypicals. Making Connections program teachers and support staff have helped bring more awareness to campuses about autism. I have accomplished a lot in my high school career, I should say. I was lucky enough to be an athletic manager for KHS up there, a Klein 5 ambassador, go to Camp Leap, as mentioned before, and was so honored to be crowned Homecoming King. And is that some good stuff, isn't it? None of this would have all been possible without the help of the skills that I have learned ever and ever in making connections. None of that would have been possible without this program in Klein ISD, in this particular district. I wanted to thank my troops of heroes that have helped me with my Promise to Purpose journey. And that did not stop me from being a free bird. Like it says up there, I have had a countless, and I mean countless, numbers of people to thank, including coaches, teachers, and administrators that have been there for me. 4 special people I would like to brag on and include in this are these people. Miss Van Putten from Wonderlick. She was my first Making Connections teacher that laid the foundation for me to have success in the years to come. She was professional in the way how she took care of business. Thank you, Miss Van Putten, for believing the best in and for me. Miss Irwin from Klein, she's at Klein Kane now, but as I made the difficult transition to high school, Miss Irwin was there, perhaps. She did a great job, and I mean just a great job, of explaining social skills my freshman year to where I could understand it a whole lot better than what I've even expected it to be. I was privileged to work with her my freshman through junior year. She taught me all sorts of valuable skills that I could take outside of the walls of school and into the community and life after high school. Thank you, Mrs. Irwin, for everything you have taught me. I will never forget that. Thank you. Mrs. Bertram from Klein. When I managed to get to my senior year, I heard Mrs. Irwin move to Klein Kane, which is over here. So Mrs. Bertram took over for the program at Klein. I knew we would be in good hands because Mrs. Irwin trained her to do a good job. She gets me in how I operate. She has helped me navigate through my senior year. She has helped me refine the skills for after I graduate. She has also helped me so much just during my senior year in general. Thank you for everything you do, Miss Bertram. Thank you, Miss Bertram. You have prepared me for my purpose in life. Mrs. Hawkins from Klein. You were my special education counselor at Klein High School. You were so knowledgeable, experienced, and supportive, and always seemed to know the best solution that God always has to any problem. It felt like I was your one and only personal promise to purpose student. And man, is that good for me. I know none of my success would have been possible without your special ability. And I am so grateful that you were there for me. Thank you, Mrs. Hopkins. I will never forget what you have done for me after all these years. You've done a good job. I feel like the walls, like you see that guy up there, I feel like the walls of isolation have been broken down by the Army of Klein ISD and the Making Connections program. With the skills I have learned through my journey, I feel confident, in knowing I have a great future ahead of me. Like that guy up there says, as John Wayne would say, you're not in the lost land anymore. I am very lucky to have such a great support system to support me through my education journey. Thank you, and God bless you.
Don't go anywhere, Andrew. Stay right up here. And we are so proud of you. And this is what it means. He's out here telling his story, talking about his purpose, and we're so proud. And right back here, come on out here, Miss Burcham, behind the scenes, because this is what educators do every single day, is his teacher cheering him on. And I want to take a minute, not only say thank you to you, but if you are a Klein ISD employee, can you stand up, please, so that we can thank you for what you do behind the scenes every single day for students like Andrew and all of our kids. Thank you, truly, for your service to our district. All right, here's how we're going to wrap this up. Andrew, you can stay right where you are. If you were one of our incredible student speakers today, if you'll start making your way upstage, and also if you were one of our students who served behind the scenes, running the slides, the lights, doing people's hair and makeup, we want everyone to come on up here because we're going to have a big collective bow and take a big picture that we can share out with everyone to celebrate your accomplishments. I want to have Asia and Amber come out here, our amazing KF queens and MCs for the day. Didn't they do a wonderful job?
They really did. They did very awesome.
Both of these awesome students are graduating with their purpose. They're, no surprise, majoring in communications, and won't they do a wonderful job representing Klein ISD in our community on their next adventure? All right, while we get set up here, I do just want to thank a few more people in addition to those I thanked when we got started. We have an incredible communications team in Klein ISD. They've done an awesome job covering this event, so thank you to all of you. Wave. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also our CTE and our advanced academics departments have worked really hard to support this event as well. So we're just so glad to see everybody working together. We, not me, is the way we do things around here in Klein ISD, and it's great to see the outcome for our kids. Just want to say a final thank you to all of you parents and families. Thanks for supporting our district. These things don't happen on their own. It's the partnership that we have with you around Promise to Purpose that makes it actually come to life, and we saw that on display today. I have laughed, I have cried, but most of all, I have been inspired by these young people and what they represent for the future of not only our community, but the future of our world. So let's give them another big round of applause. All right, y'all scooch in and join hands because we're going to do one big collective bow that we're going to capture on video. All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, KLEINTalks 2019. All right, parents, if you want to come up here and take pictures, you're welcome to do so. Thanks so much again for being here for the 2019 Klein Talks.